All right, out there. So, one of the requests I get from my students and so forth and such and whatever is, hey man, how do you record? Like, what's the deal? Do you have music? Blah blah blah. So I thought I'd take a little bit of time and just kind of blow through a rig that I have here. I just show you what my setup is, some different options. Whether you're on a Mac or a PC or whatever. I'm just going to take you through a quick little like basic 101 thing we can do for how to record something. Everybody's out there. There's cheap programs, and part of guitar and the most fun I have is being creative. It's great to learn other people's tunes. Like get by the campfire. Oh, dude, play some Bon Jovi or whatever, right? And it's cool to be able to bust it out. But what I totally dig is I take that song or whatever I learned, and then I'm like, hey, what can I do? Like, let's work with that song, but kind of tweak it and make it my own and see what I can come up with. So one of the great things to do now via iPhone, iPad, whatever pad that you got, is to record. So let's go through a little quick tutorial, a little quick, rig, and see how we can do it. All right, so for me, first and foremost, I record with an amp. Now, there's great programs out there. There's Amplitude from IK Multimedia. GarageBand comes with its own little amp simulator. There's Digidesign or Pro Tools has their 11 or whatever it's called. And there's all sorts of great amp simulators out there. I like the sound of an amp. One thing I will say, you guys always see these divided by 13 amps. And to me, it takes me a long time to save up. You got to save your pennies or whatever, but get a good sound source. If you want to take things serious and eventually, be in a big band or be a session guitar player or whatever, start, saving your money to get good gear. Good gear makes a huge difference. These amps are just known for how they sound on stage and when they're mic'd. How well they fit in a track. All that stuff makes a difference. So, amp is crucial. Next, and I should say this too. Let me preface this. There's tons of good amps out there. I've heard wicked tones from a solid state $150 Fender Bronco, right? A lot of it is taking what you have and what you can afford and tweaking with it and trying to get good sounds out of it. Lots of solid state $75 Marshalls have been on tons of recordings you've heard that you would swear is a Marshall stack. So I don't want to discourage you and say you have to have a boutique amp to, make good sound. It's not the case. A lot of it is how creative you are willing to be. Now from there, I go into a microphone. I mic the speaker up. That is a condenser microphone, which requires phantom power. So you'll need a input device that offers phantom power. But I like the sound of condenser mics. Now there's also a ribbon mic, or there is a dynamic mic like a 57, which is on every guitar recording you've ever heard in your life, which are great. And they're like $100. They sound awesome. They can handle high pressure loads, so they can you can play an amp really loud and it'll take it. Another mic I use, and the mic that you hear my voice being picked up by, is MD409, and it's an amazing guitar mic as well. So that's how I get the sound. Now let's take a look at from there what I do to get it into the computer. Okay, so one more little side note is, before we get into the how do you get it into the computer, is pedals. I love pedals, pedal junkie. I don't tend to use a ton when I'm recording, but there's a lot of things that you can do with them. Now they don't all have to be boutique. These are kind of boutique-y pedals, but these are great pedals. They're cheap. I'm just a little side note, I'm selling some pedals too. Gotta upgrade the studio. But, if anybody likes these pedals over here, which are awesome, these were mainstays on my board for a long time. They served me well, but I'm just trying to sell everything I can to upgrade to some better recording equipment. By the way, this pedal right here, kind of off the screen, was owned by somebody famous. So if you guys want a little piece of history, get in contact with me and I'll tell you whose it is. So anyways, but pedals are awesome. They get tons of different tones. It's really fun to mess around with. You know, there's delays and all sorts of, you know, you got the vibe pedals like this kind of thing. If you guys are into like the Hendrix. All sorts of stuff like that. Boost. Right? Yep. I turn that one up. Sort of metally. You get wahs. You get delay pedals. Right? All sorts of stuff. So those are also really fun in the creative process. Now, a lot of the new, be it, you know, GarageBand or Pro Tools, they come with effects. So that's another cool thing that you can do. Most often I'll record with as little in the chain as possible and then add the effects later. And I use this kind of stuff for more textural, whether it be overdubs or, you know, just some different other sounds I want in the background, some ambient sounds or whatever. So let's get into the interface aspect of everything and mic preamps, such so forth. All right, so from here, what I'll do is I go into, move this over here a little bit. What I do is I go into a mic preamp. I have two. This is a dual channel. It's a Demeter. It's kind of a tube solid state hybrid preamp. Also one of the pieces of gear that's got to go to upgrade. They're really great because they help you to get a true sound or a warmer sound, or they just kind of make it sound a little more organic. Sometimes just going into a digital interface like this can sound a little sterile. So what a lot of people do, and 9 times out of 10 when you hear an album, it has a mic going into some sort of a mic preamp. So this is a Demeter. I've had this thing for a while, and it's just great. It's stereo, and it really helps to get a nice clear sound. You can warm it up since it's half tube and get you know, a little bit more of that kind of organic thing. And then this is a universal audio. These things have been used, you know, on their own website. They say from Sinatra to Van Halen. It's a mic preamp. It's tube, and it really gives you kind of a vibe, like a warm, organic sound that you're used to in you know, the recordings of yesteryear. So from there, I'll plug in either my condenser or dynamic mic into that, and then I come into this. There's tons of great audio interfaces out there, and that's what this is. It's an M Audio Profiler. They're great. You know, I don't need some big Pro Tools HD system. I'm just a, you know, basic guy recording tracks with my buddies. Now, depending on what your needs are, you might need more inputs. This has 2 XLR, which are the mic style inputs. Some people, you know, if you want to track a band, they make an 8-channel version. There's Motu, there's, you know, Apogee, there's all sorts of different brands. There's Presonus, there's, you know, everybody and their mother makes a good, affordable interface. These things are dirt. I mean, they're like $220. Good headphones, you know, make a big difference. I just have little cheap M Audio monitors, but they sound great. These are little AV40s. I think they're like $150 for a pair. You can get a subwoofer to help with the bass, and that seems to help out. And then from there, I just go into, I have an Apple laptop. You know, works great for me. Excuse the planes. I can't reroute those. But, you know, it's a MacBook Pro. The thing works awesome for recording. I use both GarageBand. I've used Logic, Pro Tools. I like to kind of mess with all sorts of different programs because, you know, whether you go into a studio or whatever, some guys like Logic for the MIDI capabilities, you know, if you're going to do synthesizers and keyboards and stuff. Some guys, Pro Tools is industry standard. I mean, it's everywhere. Any studio you go to, whether it's TV or music, Pro Tools is going to be used. Now, a word of advice out there. A lot of times people don't get into the recording because it's too expensive, right? The Pro Tools program's $600 or whatever. If you're a student out there, a lot of times these bigger companies will offer a student discount if you have some sort of student ID or whatever. And a lot of times the programs will be half of what they normally are. So for all you people out there going to school and college or what have you, don't forget about that aspect of buying equipment. You know, a lot of times you can get stuff cheaper. A lot of times you can buy stuff on eBay or Craigslist or whatever for pennies on the dollar of what they costed. So, or originally cost. There we go. So anyways, so what I'll do is I'm going to show you a quick little tutorial on just how to record something. So that's basically what we do. We got the monitor speakers to listen back. We got our, you don't have to have this, but a mic preamp of one kind or another, some headphones if it's late at night, a couple mics, and you are ready to roll. So from there, you know, obviously you guys have seen my guitars. I got a little Martin guitar I record acoustics with, and I'm a huge fan of Nash guitars. But that being said, you know, use whatever you got. You could probably get good sounds out of just about anything. You know, a little Perrier over there helps every once in a while. But anyways, okay, so let's take you through a quick little tutorial. All right, so I'm using GarageBand. You know, I also use Pro Tools, like I said, Logic. There's lots of cool programs. So anyways, what I've done is I've gone and got GarageBand open. And a quick little side note, Marty's buddy Lewin runs a great YouTube page called GarageBand and Beyond that really goes over the ins and outs in a really easy to understand fashion. So check out his website. It's awesome. And there's other, you know, people that do Pro Tools or whatever. There's lots of great information out there. Another thing that I use all the time is a company called lynda.com, Lynda. $25 a month. It goes over every mainstream computer program that there is with hours and hours and hours of tutorials on how to do everything regarding the program that you want to learn. So I'll come over, I'll pull up a loop. Okay, love that loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that over here. I'm going to drag it in, and what I'm going to do is this is how I just record down ideas. I'm just going to extend that out for like 30 measures or so. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to arm a track. So what I'll do here is I'll plug in my, let's pull up a new one. Let's see, I'll pull up a new track. I'll pick microphone, create. Now I've got a new track. And what I want to do is turn on my mic preamp, which would help. So I get some input. And then so once I've done that, the phantom power kicks in. Right, I've got a level now. I want to make sure that the level isn't too high, because digital distortion is not your friend. Okay, now once my meters are set okay, and I'm just coming in and out of, you know, green to just beginning to hit the orange, I'll record a track. And so what I'll do is I'll lay down an idea to that drum beat. I have this to play over. And now I'll just do whatever I want. So let me record a little passage and we'll revisit what I did after that. All right, so while I was away, I recorded some tracks. I have 3 tracks that I'm working from right now. And so what I did was I laid down that initial drum groove. Excuse the plane. And then I laid down 2 other tracks. And what I did was I laid down a basic track. And then after that, I went up to a higher register. I played the same chords, but just put in a slightly different part. And that'll thicken stuff up a bit. So again, this isn't mixed or anything like that. This is just basic tracks. So what I want to do, I'll come back and I'll drop down the levels a little bit. And let's just hear what we came up with. So here's my drum groove. Now I've noticed that my other guitar part was a little bit too loud, so I'm going to drop that in the background a little bit. But now you see what we got, right? We got a rhythm track, some jamming, so we can just come in here and over the top, you know, if we want, throw down a lead. Right, or do whatever we want. And one great thing about that is now, if we're working on scales or whatever, we can have something to play to. We got our own band. We can work on our timing with our loops. We can get down an idea that we've had and like, oh, that was cool. I want to save that idea or whatever. And we can save it in this basic template. Then if you want to go in and manipulate it, you know, you can come in to edit, and on any of these tracks, there's already stuff set up like reverb or whatever. So let's say we go back to our initial track and I solo it out. And so when I back up, you'll hear the track. And then what I can do is I can add reverb to it if I want, make it sound a little farther back in the field. You know, totally manipulate it. I can add other effects if I wanted to. You know, I could add compression or any of these other things that you can learn from, you know, the bazillions of tutorials they have out there online on how to mix or whatever. But this is just an example of how I create stuff. You know, me and my buddy I have a friend in Oklahoma, he just came out and we laid down a bunch of tracks for an album I'm getting ready to do with him, and just it's a blast. You know, you get two guys. He's real great at coming up with other guitar parts, or not guitar parts, but other instrument parts. So I lay down guitar tracks, and then, you know, we work via the internet, and we'll send tracks back and forth, and it's just a blast. So, you know, I really want to encourage the creative side of guitar playing. For me, that's really where it's at. You take all the song knowledge and everything that all these great artists and all these great songs, and then you take that and you tweak it and make it your own, and before you know it, you're creating. And it doesn't have to be like you've got a goal to get a record deal, although that would be awesome. But it's just fun to create stuff with friends and bounce ideas. And, you know, I got a couple buddies that are pretty much one-man shows. They can sing, they can play everything, and then they, you know, spend a couple hours in their room and they come out with just amazing songs, and all on a laptop or on a, you know, personal tower computer that they have, and it's, you know, not that much invested, and it sounds fantastic. So that's, you know, where it's at for me, is the creative process in guitar playing. So, you know, give it a shot. Go out there and have some fun. I just had a student of mine who, you know, I gave him a quick little tutorial, and he went out and got some stuff, and he's like, dude, I can't believe how much fun this is. So I highly recommend it. All right, catch you next time.